All right, good evening. I am here with John Nicholson. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so before we get started, people have found themselves on this webpage regarding reduceyourmortgage.net, and we'd like to have you explain the program for them while they're looking at the website. Before we do that, would you mind just introducing yourself and let us know, how, who you are, what your background is, and how you got into all this?
Yeah, my name is John Nicholson, and I'm with a company called Modification Associates out of Westbury, New York, right here on Long Island. I've been in the mortgage industry on and off since 1985, and I was also an investigative reporter for quite a few years. And part of the things we used to do is research the banking industries and things like that, Federal Reserve, monetary funds, things of that nature. And we stumbled across a very interesting method of helping people, of course, if they qualify for our program, helping them reduce their mortgage principal and monthly payment anywhere from 25 to 80%.
You're also involved with politics, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I head up an organization that researches various issues that are plaguing the world, as well as some pretty solid solutions and ways that we can create millions of jobs with conducive technologies. We need to get off of oil. We need to get off of nuclear. There are quite a few energy technologies out there that are very clean, electromagnetic engine technologies, certain hydrogen cold fusion technologies, which have been suppressed by special interests. We try to gear the consciousness towards accepting the benefits of these products and how our society would not only benefit our environment, but would benefit and our economy as well. And we could begin building our economy based on technologies that heal our world instead of, damage it.
You're actually a congressional candidate too, right?
At one point, I did receive a nomination from the New York Constitution Party back around 2000. That's correct.
Okay. So if people want more background on you, they can go to, what's the website again?
It's ccrg.info. ccrg.info stands for Citizens Committee for Restructured Government.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. So, all right, so let's jump right in then. People might be wondering, a lot of people are very uninformed. In my course of dealings, I find most of the population are very uninformed about what they're entitled to and what's going on in the current events as far as mortgages right now and federal investigations. And there's some news articles below on our website where people can read about what's going on. But the average person maybe has stumbled across this or heard about this, but they might be thinking, hey, when I got my house, when I bought the house, we signed a contract in the beginning, and this is what the terms were, and how on earth am I entitled to get a principal reduction on my mortgage, or how on earth might I be able to eliminate the payment and own my house outright? How on earth is that possible? Like probably what the average person listening is thinking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. It's relatively simple. Every time someone applies for a mortgage through a major bank, the bank uses their signature to apply for another 2 mortgages from the Federal Reserve, which they can obviously lend that money to 2 potential new homeowners and profit from the interest on that as well. That paperwork has to be filed in compliance with federal banking regulations. And what we do is we conduct a no-cost, no-obligation, free evaluation. We investigate on a forensic level their mortgage, and we look for violations in federal banking laws. And quite often we find them. And when we do, we can use those violations to leverage principal and monthly payment down anywhere from 25 to 80%.
Now, what do you mean by forensic? That kind of is over my head a little bit.
Okay, well, have you ever seen the TV show CSI, Crime Scene Investigation?
A couple of times.
It's a pretty famous show, Crime Scene Miami, CSI New York, CSI, Tampa, CSI 5,000 different cities. It was a pretty popular show. They basically research and investigate issues on a more thorough level. And what we do is we use various media that is available to us, various internet operations, and we request certain documents from our clients, very simple documents. We just need 4 documents which are enclosed usually in every mortgage closing. And between what the client provides and our personal research database, we can determine usually within about 3 to 5 days if we have a case. And again, we use the term threshold. If the client meets threshold, which means they have a certain amount of violations regarding their mortgage, we'll take the case. And if we take the case, you're looking at a significant reduction in monthly payment and principal balance.
You're talking about the banks not filing certain paperwork and doing certain violations. I mean, why do they do this? Is there a way that they profit or save money from not doing this? And aren't they afraid that people are going to come back later on, like and get possibly the mortgage eradicated? Or
that's a very good question. Actually, I'd like to tell your potential clients right now that if you have a mortgage with a credit unions always dot their I's and cross their T's. We've never seen a credit union mortgage deal in a non-compliance to federal banking law scenario. So if you have a mortgage with a credit union, most likely you don't qualify for the program. However, at least 50% of our experience has demonstrated at least 50% of the mortgages out there could be non-compliant. And why this is done, in this country, unfortunately, the banking and special interest people have a mindset where, you're only a criminal if you're caught. And at this point, nobody really has they've destroyed the economy. They've given our jobs to China and Mexico, and, for 2 cents an hour, we can't compete with that. Next thing you know, people can't pay their mortgage. They're having difficulty, making ends meet. But I can only give you an opinion. It could be arrogance, in my opinion, because I really don't see a lot of logistical reasons why they would do something like this. I mean, somebody eventually is going to, open up the wrong file cabinet and find something and be able to use that as a leverage tool to reduce people's mortgages. But the actual reason, lies with those who are guilty of the non-compliance to federal regulations, why they would actually do something like this. And even in doing something like this, we all are aware of certain bailouts that have taken place, multi-billion-dollar bailouts. Who's bailing us out?
Wasn't it a few years back, $160 billion from our tax dollars, I believe it was, were given to these banks?
Well, that's correct. That's what was disclosed, but it's also been our experience that take what they're releasing to the public through various media and triple that, and that's probably actually a lot closer to the bailout fund.
Okay, so basically, the banks can print money out of thin air through, the Federal Reserve can print money out of thin air, and they're never going to be broke, but they got $160 billion, and with the economy the way that it is, what did the average homeowner get? Anything from the Bush or the Obama administration to help make people, like you said, make ends meet or, pay off their expenses, student loan debt, send their kids to college without going into debt. Like the average person's not, the average citizen, the average American is not being bailed out, but the big corporations are. That's basically, I guess, the name of the game, right?
Yes, basically, that's the downside to our economic system. Unfortunately, we're taught in capitalistic mindsense that if you make a hammer, let's say a hammer costs you $10 to make here in the U.S., and you sell it for $20, if you take it to another country, let's say like Mexico or China, and make it for $5 and sell it for $18, the profit margin is much higher. So that's a big reason. Motorola and other major corporations and GM, they've moved their operations overseas and out of the country. It's hurt the job market quite a bit, and people are having a real hard time making ends meet. So what we do is try to help them through various methods. The modification and eradication part of our business is one aspect. If anybody out there is threatened by foreclosure and eviction and things like that, we also have another division for $875. Will get you the time you need to stay in your home. In most instances, the person that we deal with has stopped over 1,700 foreclosures and evictions with 100% success. So, we're dealing with some very competent people here. And if anybody is in threat of foreclosure or eviction, we do have a program just for that. But the modification and eradication part of the business helps people that are kind of barely making it, struggling, bring the monthly payment down to an affordable level to where now they can afford to feed their families and pay their bills. As I mentioned, if you have a $2,000 a month mortgage payment and we get it down to $1,500, that's a $500 a month savings times 12 months. That's a $6,000 savings. Our administrative fee, if you qualify for the program, is only $2,500. And there are other companies out there that charge $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, which is what they should be charging. But we look to just cover our administrative costs on the front end of the situation, and we have another compensatory issue on the back end. We have another compensation plan on the back end, which is a little more conducive, for the economy that we're in right now.
Well, I mean, I've researched the competitors to your company. I found that there are other modification companies through law firms and stuff, and not only do they charge $5,000 up front, you guys do about half that, but when the modification is, or the partial eradication or whatnot is finalized, they're taking a cut of like 33% of every dollar that you get the principal reduced by. So if you get their principal reduced by $100,000, they're taking $33,000.
Yes, we are considerably more cost-effective on the back end as well. The front end, we are about half of what our competitors charge, and on the back end, we offer a significant savings. Our fee is 15% of whatever we save our clients. So let's say hypothetically a client has a $200,000 mortgage, and we get it down to $100,000. So we've saved the client $100,000. Our fee is 15%, which would be $15,000. They save $85,000.
Got it. No one has to pay like a lump sum to pay that $15,000, right?
Not at all. We could do a refi if we are able to obtain a full eradication, which is a complete elimination of the mortgage. Let's say hypothetically a client has a $300,000 mortgage. We are able to obtain a full eradication, which is a complete elimination of their mortgage. Once they receive all documents from the bank dismissing their mortgage, they would then take out a new mortgage for 20% of their original mortgage. That would be our fee, and that would be their new mortgage. So again, the math is simple. If they had a $300,000 mortgage and were able to obtain a full eradication, complete elimination, 20% of $300,000 is $60,000. That would be their new mortgage and our fee. They would then acquire a new mortgage for $60,000, and everything would be worked out accordingly.
So that's why you say you can get the mortgage cut down by up to 80%, because if you get a full 100% dismissal of the mortgage due to significant violations, the client still has to pay you guys.
Correct. We receive 20% of the original mortgage. If we do a partial eradication, we receive only 15% of whatever we save. So again, if we save a client $100,000 off a $200,000 mortgage, our fee is $15,000, and they're saving $85,000.
So you guys are motivated to reduce it as much as possible because that's your commission.
Absolutely. If we only get, that's why we don't accept, partial, like 10%, 20%. We go for at least we won't accept a deal into our program unless we know we can get at least a partial, at least a 25% modification to their mortgage. But again, it's more conducive if we do anywhere from 40 to 70 to 80. Obviously, it's a greater benefit for everybody involved, but we won't even accept the deal unless we know we can get at least a modification. So we're not here to waste anybody's time. Again, if you have a mortgage with a credit union, we most likely will not accept it. They are very compliant. They dot their I's, cross their T's. If you have a mortgage with a major bank, any major bank, by all means, there's no fee to, there's no obligation or fee to review your case to see if we have one. Then, of course, once you are accepted, at that point, you're on your way to reducing your principal and monthly payment anywhere from 25 to 80%.
What if people are getting contacted? Because a lot of these banks, if you just Google in the mainstream news or you click the article on this website, people will see that Bank of America is reaching out to 200,000 homeowners offering them modifications. What's the difference between people accepting that modification? I can assume the bank is trying to give them a less of a better deal than what you guys would be able to push for, right?
Well, that's a pretty good assumption, Matt, because that's pretty much what happened. They're scrambling now. They know that they're guilty of certain things, and they figure it would be a good time right now to try to cut a deal. There was also something said in mainstream media about the Obama administration giving everybody a chance to negotiate their mortgage with their mortgage companies. And, of course, they want to do that because at that point, they can walk away with significantly less than what we're able to obtain. And let's face it, we want to be nice and we want to be compassionate, but people are getting thrown in the street left and right. There's record foreclosure rate in our nation. There's some other horror stories that are happening regarding evictions and things like that. So at this point, since they sold us out, since they sold the job market out. I mean, we paid billions of dollars to economists. They couldn't figure out that if we start outsourcing our jobs, it wouldn't destroy our economy. So it's a way to get people, to force them to migrate. And you can't ask people to move out of cities, but you could destroy economies and manipulate economies to force people to move out. And that's what they've done. So they forced a lot of people from their homes. They forced a lot of organic farmers are now migrating out, and those farms are being sold to GMO companies like Monsanto and things like that. What a coincidence. So the moral of the story here is if they're going to play hardball with us, then perhaps maybe it's time for us to play hardball with them. And if they are in violation of federal banking regulations, then perhaps whoever qualifies for a program should be entitled to get a significant reduction to help keep more money in their homes and feed their families.
Right, and actually a lot of judges are turning and agreeing with us, and there was a judge in New York I believe it was the New York State of Appeals, which is the highest court in New York, and this judge ruled, the details of this are actually in the video, the judge's name, the case. I don't have it right in front of me, but the judge ruled that even though the banks are going to be saying, well, you can't let all these people get their homes for free, the judge actually ruled, well, no, if you guys are violating the law in the loans, we have to uphold the rule of law and administrative procedures. We can't just rule with the banks because, they're going to lose these mortgages and give people their homes for free. That's what he actually ruled.
There are some judges who, when they took their oath, they're standing behind it, but that's not always the case. So we definitely want to get on board with this type of program as quickly as possible. If you and I or anybody in your listening audience was to commit this level of crime, we would be incarcerated in about 60 to 90 days. These entities are blatantly not following their own federal banking compliance laws. These aren't our rules, it's their rules. We're just exercising our constitutional right to see if they're following their own rules, especially since they're, destroying our economy and legally stealing our homes through foreclosure and things like that. So at this point, we need to do what we need to do to help our American brothers and sisters keep their homes, feed their families, keep more of their hard-earned dollars in the household and not going out to some special interest banking corporation.
This is not just a modification or principal reduction or possible full eradication program. You guys also push to get the client, the homeowner, fine money in judgments against the bank. And you told me about a really promising example over there in Queens where there was a client. Could you just mention how that works and what the potential upside for that is?
Absolutely. On occasion, we do find violations that are also include triple compensatory finable expenses. And what ends up happening is somebody sends a FedEx. A FedEx would normally be $15 approximately, depending on the package. If you're charged $300, there's a violation right there. If there's something on your HUD, if there's something in the Federal Reserve paperwork where X amount of dollars should have read X amount of dollars and it does not, it's a violation. It's non-compliance federal banking regulations, and the client, not our company, would be entitled to those compensatory damages. They would go directly to the client. And it could be anywhere from $300 to, $30,000, could be, a multi-million-dollar judgment. We don't know until we start researching the case more and more in depth. But we are not entitled, whether it's 300 or a million, we're not entitled to that money. But we ask our clients, if you do get some pretty nice compensatory damage compensation, if you want to take us out to dinner, we won't be too upset.
Well, there was that one case you told me about earlier where someone in Astoria, Queens got a full eradication on their mortgage, and they also won, over $1 million or something?
Yes, it was approximately 1.5
million.
So it more than covered their $500,000 mortgage, and it's a quite significant judgment, which was utilized as leverage for a very conducive deal for the client. Wow,
so that's like a best case scenario. People listening go through the program. There's a small chance they could get an award for over $1 million.
That's correct. That's correct. And worst case scenario, which is our threshold, which is the legal term for minimum requirement, we have to know we can get you at least a 25% modification. If we can't get you at least that, if there are not enough violations, we don't accept the case. But again, we don't really make any money from a 25% situation. We start getting compensated when we eliminate mortgages anywhere from 40 to approximately 80%. That's where it becomes a little bit more profitable to us and to our clients.
Saunds good. So there's no worst case scenario, really. Worst case scenario is really you guys do a free evaluation. You said you request like 4 main documents from the client. You usually return that within a week. You said within 3 to 5 days, even.
Possibly, yes.
And the worst case scenario is if there's no chance of a reduction, or if it's not a really, if it's not a significant chance, you guys won't take the case on. What happens if you do take the case on, and let's just say hypothetically you can't get a reduction? I know you told me that doesn't happen because you're not going to take the case and waste your law firm and your company's time. But, let's just say a lot of people like to evaluate and make decisions based on looking at the best case scenario and the worst case scenario and then what's likely to happen.
Right. Well, we also stand out in the industry by offering a money-back guarantee within our paperwork that if no action is taken, if no savings is obtained, then the client receives their administrative fee
back. Okay. All right. So leaves a lot of worry out of people's minds right there.
There's no risk here. We're not here to nickel and dime this. We're here to get this program working in full force, keeping as many people in their homes. As I mentioned, we also have a program that stops foreclosure and eviction with a 100% success ratio with over 1,700 documented cases. And as far as the modification and eradication program that we offer, our goal is to help as many people as possible obtain the most savings. There's a lot of motivation here to help people keep their homes and to make ends meet. People are having a really tough time right now. They're struggling. And if we can just get their payments down anywhere from 40, 50, 60%, it definitely makes a difference.
And so in order to help as many people as possible, you guys actually have a very lucrative, very generous affiliate program so that people can be encouraged to go and tell people, basically word of mouth. I mean, you told me there's a few people that are doing some advertising and some marketing, but you get a lot of your referrals and such from word of mouth. Could you explain the affiliate program?
Sure. Before I do that, I would also like to mention one more thing that's of relative significance and importance. Many of our clients ask if the program is going to affect their credit. And I would like to say wholeheartedly it does not affect their credit. It's a criminal issue. It has nothing to do with agreements and financial situations. It is strictly a criminal matter. If a drunk driver, crashes into your mailbox and the police come down and respond and paperwork and this and that happens, is that going to affect your FICO scores? Is that going to affect your credit scores? No. So this program has nothing to do with affecting your credit. It is strictly a forensic investigative program to research your mortgage for compliance to federal banking regulations. That's basically it. Speaking about the affiliate program is relatively simple. Everyone who, let's say, refers someone to the program who signs up, and you're welcome to contact our office for information on this. They receive a compensation for everyone who signs up on the front end, and they also receive compensation on the back end when the case settles. So it could end up being a nice supplemental opportunity for someone, also helping someone keep their home, reduce their mortgage payment, and keep more money in the home.
Well, from my opinion, I think that's a huge understatement because, I'm the one narrating the video on the site below. So if people want to review the affiliate program and see how lucrative it could be, you've got people that have just referred, 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 people through word of mouth and said, hey, I signed up for this program. You may want to check it out. It really looks good. I investigated it. I talked to a couple of references who have been through the program. It seems like it's the real deal, or someone that I spoke with on the phone. I've read the contract. There's really no worst case scenario. You may want to check it out too. And in about 5 minutes, they can they can convince somebody to at least go to the website or at least make a call. And if that person signs up for the program, they make $100 commission in the beginning, but then when the modification or the eradication gets finalized, person gets a principal reduction on their mortgage, the affiliate makes 2.5% of every dollar saved. So if someone saves $100,000 reducing their principal, they're making $2,500 in 5 minutes that it took them to refer somebody to your company.
We do have a pretty nice compensation plan for our affiliates, and the satisfaction is by far when you can help somebody who is barely feeding their family keep an extra $500, $600, $700, $800 a month back in their pockets and in their home. It's really excellent. I mean, yes, the compensation is pretty good, but the job satisfaction is even greater.
Right, yeah, because I know I would never get involved in promoting something that just for the money if I didn't believe in it. But in this, I mean, the reason I'm involved with this is because you got the best of both worlds. It's really the easiest, quickest, maybe not the quickest, because if you're going to get that second commission, you do have to wait till the mortgage is finalized and there's some legal proceedings and stuff. But you do make a quick $100 in the beginning, and you could talk with someone or put a print ad or do whatever sort of marketing that you like, and you can make the easiest $100 you've ever made, and then you can make several $1,000s on the back end, and you can get rewarded for doing something that helping your family and friends save money and put more food on their table anyway. So it's the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's a pretty amazing program, and we have helped quite a few people, and we're looking forward to helping quite a few more.
Cool. So people can learn more about the program and the affiliate program in the video on this website below. There's a couple of news articles referencing what we were talking about, Bank of America giving out modifications, basically trying to appease people so that they don't, hire a lawyer or your company to go into court and get a better situation or a better result. And then there's also an article about from the Department of Justice website showing that the federal government and state attorneys reached a $25 billion agreement with the 5 largest mortgage servicers regarding all these violations that are going on. So, I mean, if people need proof that this is real and, there's stuff going on, they're not following current events, and that's okay because the average person, like you said, they're not being told about this is not being promoted in the mainstream media, but it is out there. These programs do exist. As far as my research, you guys have the lowest fee, the best compensation, and I don't really know, any of the other companies if they offer such a lucrative affiliate compensation. So sounds really good, John. I really want to thank you for explaining. People can obviously talk with you further about the program if they are serious about getting their own mortgage, or if they're calling about a family member and they want to talk with you more. They're able to get in touch with you. Is that correct?
Yes, they can leave information on your site, and we'll usually within about 24 to 48 hours we will return the call.
Okay, so again, listeners, the form on the website that you can fill out with your name, phone number, present mortgage balance, email address, name of the bank or financial institution that your mortgage is with. You fill that form out on the website, and John personally will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours, and you'll get, just one more time, they're getting a free evaluation before they even have to decide. They get to speak with you. They get to ask. We
don't accept the case unless there's a minimal amount of violations. We don't accept the case unless we know we can get at least a 25% modification. But again, banks are calling up clients right now trying to, cover their butts, shall we say, and offer something. But we're not here for 25. We're out to go anywhere from 40 to 80%. At least 50%, so if you're getting phone calls from your bank right now and they want to cut a deal with you, it's because they know we're on our way. So it would be wise to explore your options. Give us a call. There's absolutely no charge. There's no fee to evaluate if you have a case. And if you do have a case, you'll be notified by me personally within a few days. And at that point, you can decide, what you'd like to do.
John, that sounds great. I think a lot of the listeners are going to take advantage, and you'll be in touch with them then, and you can take care of them.
Excellent. Yes. And I personally make sure that everything is handled professionally and timely and expeditiously. And people also have my personal contact information so that if they have any questions during the program, they can also call me anytime.
Well, I know all the clients that I've referred have gotten in touch with you when they need to get in touch with you, and you've been very prompt in following up and keeping in touch with people about their evaluation, as well as when they sign up. You I've gotten a lot of good feedback about your customer service, getting back in touch, giving people an update on the progress of their legal case. So that's why I enjoy working with you.
Thank you. A pleasure, Matt, as well.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, John. Don Nicholson